All right, so Bill Streger, where are you? Let's get him up here. Pin him.
Hey, look
Hey,
at
there
that.
you go. There you go. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then it's all yours for the next, I don't even know what time it is, for the next 40 minutes.
Okay. Well, the first thing I should say is I'm coming to you from Houston, Texas, which means you're going to think I sound funny, and I may think y'all sound funny too. And you're going to hear me say y'all a whole lot. Um, I've born and raised in Houston, been here my whole life, and I have been in the real estate world for 9 years now. I was in the nonprofit world for 15 years before that. So I've spent about the last 24 years coaching, training, speaking. Started as an agent and became a well-producing agent, served on the ALC, and then joined the executive leadership team here at our office. I'm at Keller Williams Metropolitan in Houston, Texas. We're about 600 agents in our office here, and I'm the director of operations. So, Colleen, does that work? Should I say more or
No, I think that's it. But
there we go?
let's just jump right into it.
Let's dive in then, y'all. Um, I'm excited to be here with you guys today, and really the the context of our conversation that we're going to have today, and a lot of the work that I do in my coaching and training with agents is about how do we sell our services, how do we sell ourselves, and really we want to talk today about how do we sign more clients this year. Now, more can mean a lot of things. For you, it may mean from no clients to a few clients. For others of us, it means from a handful of clients to a lot of clients. For some of you on this call, it means going from a lot of clients to even more clients. And whatever that looks like for you, we want to sign more clients for two reasons. Number one, so we can help more people, right? But also so that we can fund the life that we want today, that we can fund the life that we want to have. And so this training is really, you're going to get a lot out of it. If you're an agent who is not making the amount of money that you hoped you would or that you thought you would when you got your license, which by the way is most of us when we get into it. Um, a lot of times you may be an agent that feels like you do a great job of serving your clients and helping your clients. You love that part of real estate, but the sales part, the getting the clients and getting them to sign the agreement, that part you're not as fond of, you're not as confident in. You'll get a lot out of today if you really want to have a better quality of life and not just a bigger business. All right. And so there's going to be a lot of value today. I hope you've got a pen and paper, maybe take some notes. And before we dive into all of it, I want you to know too, if you want to get the slides, I've got a couple free tools I'll give you. And then the video from today, if you go to that website or there's a QR code there, myagenttriumph.com/BCP. And in fact, I'm going to drop this in the chat just so you guys have a link that makes it easy. After we're done today, I'll send you a couple of free tools that we're going to talk about, give you the slides as well. That way you don't miss anything there. So everything we're going to talk about today is not theory. It's all based on practice. Things that I've learned over the last 24 years and really things that are working for the agents that I work with and coach to get results. Okay. And so the big promise of what we're going to do today is this, is that we want to get you to be able to sign more clients without losing your soul in the process, without having to do things that feel inauthentic to you, that don't resonate with you, that don't feel right. And the challenge is we've got a lot of value to get through, but also a pretty short amount of time. Okay. And so because of that, at the end of the training, I'm going to say I'll stick around as long as y'all want and answer questions. Also, I'll give you some next steps if you want to learn more for the people who really resonate. And my big ask for you is this, is that everything we talk about today, that you take action, that you commit to being an action taker. Okay. Because the last thing you need is another class or another training that you hear and then you don't do anything with. The beauty in this comes when we put things into action. All right. And like I said, I lead a large Keller Williams office here in Houston. I've been coaching and coached and talked to hundreds and hundreds of agents. And what I find a lot of times the challenges that we face in this industry is that we don't have enough leads coming in, right? Or enough real leads. I mean, we all get the open house sign-ins that are, Donald Duck at Disney.com, but actual real leads that we can work with. A lot of times we find that we're not going on enough appointments to reach our goals. We're not getting face to face with enough potential buyers and potential sellers to hit the goals that we have. And then when we are, those appointments aren't all converting into clients the way we want them to be. And if you're anything like me, when those things happen, it takes a toll on you. You start to lose a little bit of confidence. Maybe you've even found yourself wondering, like, is real estate still for me? Do I need to go find another career? Can I do this? And feel like I'm kind of disappointing the people that are counting on me, the people that are around me. And so there's a lot of opportunity for us here today. Okay. A lot of opportunity, because if we can dial this in, our goal is that we could get a steady flow of leads coming in, that we find ourselves going on a lot more appointments and not only signing more clients, but signing them more easily in a way that feels good and natural and doesn't feel like a grind and like a hustle, right? That's where we're going today. And when we do that, we can be proud of the business that we have. And so here's the thing. I remember the day really, really clearly. It was December, and I walked outside and found something that would change my life forever. Now, I'd been doing real estate for a little while, and I'd even been recognized in our office. I don't know how your offices are, but our market center, we have top 20 lists and top producing lists, and I'd been on that list a couple of times. And yet what I found is that my income did what a lot of agents do. It was the income roller coaster. I'd have a great month, and then I'd have a couple more months with nothing. And then I'd have a good month, and then a long time with nothing. And that had been going on for a while, and things had gotten really, really difficult financially. When I say difficult, I mean it was December, and we couldn't afford to get a Christmas tree for my kids. We had put, we got Christmas lights at the dollar store and made a Christmas tree on the wall, and that was our Christmas tree. I was driving Uber in the mornings early after work just to try and make some money while I was trying to get my real estate career working. And I remember that morning in December, I walked outside and I couldn't find my car. And a couple of thoughts went through my head. Number one, did I park it somewhere where I didn't remember? I didn't do that. And I thought maybe my car got stolen. And then really quickly, what had actually happened dawned on me. My car had gotten repossessed in the middle of the night because I couldn't pay for it. And my heart, it sank. I mean, I was devastated by this. And I remember making the calls, trying to figure out what do I have to do to get it back? Because obviously in real estate, we got to be able to get around. And I went back inside and just sat down on the couch and put my head in my hands and trying to figure this out. And I remember my wife came up to me, and she's amazing. She put her arm around me and she said, "Look, it's okay. We're going to be okay. We can get through this, but something's got to change." She's like, "You're great at what you do. You can do this. You're great at working with your clients, but we've got to find a way to get some more. And they've got to happen more consistently because we can't keep living like this." She was right. She was right. And I knew she was right. And here's the thing. It wasn't that I didn't know what to do. I knew that I should be doing more lead generation. I knew I should be doing that. And yet I resisted it. There was something inside of me that resisted doing that, that was hesitant because everything I'd been taught and trained just didn't feel right to me. It felt aggressive. It felt pushy. And so I went on a mission to figure out how can I still do this? Can I be in real estate? Can I sell my services in a way that feels natural to me and authentic to me? And y'all, I went outside of the real estate industry and looked and searched, and I found and started to discover a way to do it and started to refine it and apply it. And when I did, I've got to tell you, everything changed. Everything changed. All of a sudden, commissions started coming regularly. My business started to get more consistent. And all of a sudden, I had closings coming every month. And I can't tell you the difference that made in my life. And the realization I had as I went on this journey is the same thing that we'll talk about today. And it really is this truth that you are really one sales system away from having the real estate business that you've dreamed of. You're one sales system away from having the real estate business that you dreamed of. Because when you got into this industry, you dreamed about helping people. You dreamed about helping people get the homes that they want to. And not only that, you dreamt about a better life for yourself, I'd imagine. You wanted more for you, for your family, for the people closest to you. And what happened to most of us is we got in wanting to help people, and nobody told us that it was a sales job. Nobody told us that it was a sales job that we were going to have, that we had to sell. And even though, and I don't know what it's like in New Jersey, in Texas, our license says licensed real estate salesperson. But the truth is, we don't sell houses. We help people with the process of buying and selling houses. But when we sit down with a potential client, we're not selling them a house at that point. We're selling them ourselves and our real estate services, right? And so when we can learn to sell ourselves in a way that's good and right and natural to us, everything changes for us. And so I want to make sure we understand how this works and what the flow is. And so the model that I'm going to show you here, it's called the profit path. This is how we make money in real estate. And this won't be anything you haven't heard before here, but we all want commissions, right? That's the goal. We want to get paid. We want to be able to have the income we want to fund the life that we want to live. And the way we get commissions is we have to have closings. There's no paycheck every 2 weeks. We have to have a closing if we're going to have commissions paid to us. And so to get to closing, we have to have clients that we help execute contracts, right? We have to get under contract on a house for the clients that we're working with. And so to be able to do that, it means we have to have clients that we're working with. And a client is somebody who's signed a listing agreement or a buyer representation agreement who says, yes, we're working together. Bill's our agent. We're going to do this together. And the way we get clients is by having consultations. Consultations is just, I needed a C word here, but it's an appointment, a face-to-face meeting, right? When we get together with people and try and decide, are we a good fit to work together? Can I help them? Do we want to work together? And the way we get to have those consultations is by doing lead generation, which is all about having conversations with people about real estate. Now, these 6 C's are really the fundamentals of our real estate business. And like I said, I've got a couple tools I'd love to give you. One's a calculator to figure out, based on your income, how many of those numbers and metrics do you need to be making every single year and every month? And the other one's called a vital signs dashboard. It's a way to track those numbers so that you constantly know as you run your business, where am I? Am I hitting those targets? Okay. By the way, here at Keller Williams, I hope you recognize what that is. That's just a simplified version of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent economic model, right? That's what we're doing. Now, here's what happens though, okay? What happens is that most agents, they want to focus. Oh, I went the wrong way, y'all. Pardon me. Let's go this way. There we go. Most agents focus here. They focus on the last 3 C's. They focus on, I need to get people under contract. I've got to have some closings so that I can make some money, so I can have some commissions. And what I'm going to challenge us to do today is to focus on the first 3. Because you see, the last 3, those are what we call lag measures. We don't have that much control over those, but we do have control over the first 3. We've got control over how many conversations we have, going on appointments and consultations, on selling our services and taking more clients. Really, those first 3, when I say a sales system, that's what we're talking about. If we can nail those, if we can dial those in, everything else takes care of itself. So as we roll up our sleeves here, I want to give us 3 kind of focuses, 3 keys to how we take more clients. And the first one is this, is we have to stop chasing leads and learn to start attracting them. To stop chasing leads and learn to start attracting them. Now, we get it. We all know we need leads. Everything starts with leads. If we don't have leads, we don't have clients, and nothing else happens for us here. And we know that we should be doing lead generation. If you're in a Keller Williams office, you weren't there 30 seconds before somebody told you, hey, are you doing lead generation? And it's because it's true. But most of us internally, there's something about it that we resist it. We have to kind of psych ourselves up to do it. It feels like a grind to do it. And the reason I believe is because most agents, the way we're doing it and the way we're often trained to do it is because we're chasing people. In fact, we're chasing people who don't want to be chased. And when we can shift from chasing people to attracting leads into our world and into our business, everything changes for us. And so what we're about to talk about here, it's not about any specific form of lead generation. It applies whether you are calling for sale by owners or expired listings, social media, open houses, networking, working your sphere. All of this applies. Really, there's two shifts that we have to make in our business to move from chasing to attracting, right? Shift one that we've got to make is that we have to make our lead generation efforts not agent focused. We have to shift them to being client focused. We've got to make the shift from being agent focused to client focused. And here's what I mean. Think about most of the lead generation that we're taught to do and that we try. Things like just listed and just sold, phone calls or door knocks, however you're doing it. But when we do just listed, just sold, we lead with, hey, guess what? I just sold a house. We just listed a house. We just did this thing. And we talk about us and our company and how great we are and the results that we get. Often it comes out in our marketing, it comes out in the conversations, and a lot of what we do is we talk about us and how good we are and how great we are, and maybe I can help you too. It's agent focused, and no wonder we resist that. Who wants to do that all day, talking about how great I am and don't you think I'm good and want to work with me too? But if we can make the shift to making it about them, and all of the conversations we have stop being about us and our business and our company and our results, and we learn to start engaging people by talking about their goals, their desires, their needs, their wants, all of a sudden those conversations become much easier to have. Those conversations come naturally. They become easy. In fact, with agents that I work with, we work through a tool called a 30-second commercial. And it's all about having an answer when somebody says, hey, tell me, what do you do? Instead of rattling off, oh, yeah, I'm a real estate agent, and here's what I do, and here's how I help people. And da, da, da. It's a way to have that conversation that's all about them. That as we talk about them, they self-identify and see the need that they might have. And if they're a lead, we recognize it really quickly. That's the first shift. And the second shift, I think, is even more powerful. And it's when we stop thinking about lead generation as selling and we start thinking about it as sorting. We move from thinking about it as selling to sorting. Here's what I mean. When my kids were little, we used to go to kids' carnivals all the time. I'd get them out of the house, try and run off energy however I could. And they all tended to have a game that looked like this. It was a giant kiddie pool filled with rubber ducks. And let's say there was 100 rubber ducks in this kiddie pool. And the way you'd play the game is you got a certain amount of tries. You'd pick up a duck and look at the bottom. And if it had, let's say, a triangle on the bottom, that means you won a little prize. You won a piece of candy or something like that. And if you picked up the duck and it had a star on the bottom, that meant you won the big prize. You won the giant stuffed animal, that's what all the kids wanted. It's what my kids wanted. Most of the ducks had nothing on the bottom at all. And so they would go and you'd pick up a duck and look, pick up a duck and look. Do I have a winner? Do I have a winner? And that's how you played the game. That is exactly what lead generation is. It's not selling, because we're not trying to talk people into moving. We're not trying to talk people into doing anything. We're looking, where are the motivated buyers and sellers who are already thinking in that direction? We're sorting them. Now, all the rubber ducks in that pond, they all look the same. The only way to tell if you had a winner was to pick it up, look at the bottom of it, and see, does it have the shape? It's the same way. When we're doing lead generation, we're sorting people. And the way we do it is by having a conversation where we talk about real estate, where real estate gets mentioned. And as we have that conversation, very naturally, we find out, are they a lead or are they not a lead? And if they're not, that's okay. In fact, 95% of the population isn't thinking about moving at any given time. There's nothing we're supposed to do to make them do that. 95% of the people won't be a lead. But sometimes we have a conversation and it becomes clear, oh, they are a lead. They do have a real estate need. And then the question is, are they a lead for the future? And that's going to be most people, right? That's like the triangles on the bottom of the little rubber ducks. There's a lot more of those. And every once in a while, the rare one, the big prize, is we find somebody who has a real estate need right now and that we can help them. But lead generation isn't about selling anything. It's about sorting. We have conversations and try and find, are they already a lead or are they not a lead? And that's it. And so I'm curious, as you think about this, if you were to take an honest look at your business, are you attracting or are you chasing business with the way that you approach lead generation? When you talk to them, are you talking about you or are you primarily talking about them? And have you been looking at it thinking as if you're trying to sell something in that moment, or just sorting, is this person a lead or are they not? And so I'm going to ask you just to rate your business. Okay. Maybe you write this down in your notes, but on a scale of 1 to 10 somewhere, 1 being you've barely got any leads. I mean, you get some leads, but they just sort of happen sometimes. And 10 being you've got a steady flow of leads just constantly flowing into your business. You've got more than enough. Where would you say you're at on a scale of 1 to 10? And then here's the question. If it was a 10, what would that feel like for you? I mean, what would be different in your world if it was a 10, right? How would that change? And here's the question. When we talk about being action takers, can you commit to learning how to start attracting leads rather than chasing them, to bring in a steady flow of leads? Can you commit to that? That's the first key that we talk about, moving from chasing leads to attracting leads. Here's the second key. The second key is that we would stop just following up and start building a pipeline that produces appointments. We've got to keep in mind, our goal is always to be moving people to an appointment. Nothing happens until we get face-to-face with a potential client. Nothing happens until we get face-to-face with a potential client. And particularly with this NAR settlement that's happening, I know you guys have talked a lot about this on the all hands meeting, and you've been wrestling through this. There's a lot of agents who are having to change their whole model because their model had been meet a potential buyer and just go start showing houses. And now there's some changes that are going to have to be made. We have to get a representation agreement signed. And can we just agree, like trying to send a representation agreement over Dotloop or DocuSign to somebody you've never met before is almost an impossible task, it feels like. It's like matching with somebody on a dating app and trying to send them a prenup agreement before you go out on a date, right? Nobody wants to do that. And so when we do things in the right order, though, instead of just trying to get it signed, we actually sit down before we do anything. Step 1 is always a face-to-face consultation, a buyer's consultation or a listing consultation. That makes getting an agreement signed a whole lot easier. That's where everything starts. We're always moving people there. And one of the problems we face as agents is as we're trying to move people there, we tend to let people fall through the cracks. It's because we get busy and we get really focused, almost hyper-focused on the now business, on our current clients, on the people that we're working with, the people who are ready right now, that we let the people in the future kind of fall through the cracks. We forget about them and we're not building a pipeline. And most agents, if we're honest, a lot of agents start the beginning of every month with no idea what their business is going to look like. And maybe that's never happened to you, but have you ever had a client that you found out bought a house with someone else because you forgot to follow up? I did. Past client bought and sold another house with another agent just because I didn't stay in touch. I didn't follow up with them. I didn't build a pipeline. It was $4 million worth of volume that I lost on that one client. And so what this is about, it's about structuring our follow-up in such a way that really it's about learning that we can know what is the right thing to say to the right people at the right time. That's what great follow-up is about. Most often what we tend to do is really weak. We do lots of, hey, just following up, just checking in, just wanted to follow up with you, just checking in with you. Listen, if I could beg you to do anything, it would be to eradicate the words just following up from your vocabulary, to get rid of those words, because what it does is it lowers your status in their eyes. It lowers your status, and we sound like we're desperate, like we're thirsty, like we're begging for business. Okay. What great follow-up is learning how do we bring value along the way so that knowing where they are in the pipeline, knowing where they are in the process, we can be saying the right things to them, to the right people at the right time and the right frequency. And when we're able to learn to do that, that we're not just following up, just checking in, just following up, when what our conversations actually bring value to them in those moments, it shifts how they see us, not as a desperate, needy, commission hungry realtor, but we become to them a trusted advisor all the way through the process. And it means that we've got to structure our follow up process with one goal in mind. We're always moving people to an appointment, always trying to get them there. I don't know if you've recognized this in your business, but I sure saw it in mine. My prospects were never going to be the one to suggest an appointment. Not once did I ever have a buyer I met in an open house say, it would be great if we could get together for like an hour at your office and you could explain the home buying process to me and answer my questions and we could talk about my needs. And then at the end of it, I'm sure there's probably some kind of document we need to sign to be able to work together. Like, never happened. It doesn't enter their mind. That's our job as the real estate professional. We've got to guide them there. But we have to learn how to do that in a way, again, that doesn't lower our status, that doesn't make us seem like we're begging or that we're desperate or we're needy. In fact, think of some of the ways that we're taught, even to talk about asking for an appointment in real estate. And I won't pick on anybody, but we've all heard a script that goes something like, let's say you're calling expired listings. Hey, Mr. Seller, I know that by now you know that your house has shown up in our system as an expired listing. And I'm wondering when you're planning to interview the right agent for the job of getting your house sold. And we even frame an appointment as a job interview. Well, the minute we do that, we've lowered our status. In a job interview, the person interviewing for the job is up here and we're down here. Just please, could you maybe meet with me and maybe I can earn your business and we can talk about hiring? What if instead we approached it level playing field, equal stature? They're not better than us. We're not better than them. And when we learn, and there's a 6-part appointment setting framework I teach to agents I work with, how do we get them to an appointment in a way that's natural and makes sense so that we're on that level playing field? And I'm curious for y'all, as you think about follow-up, as you think about building a pipeline that is constantly moving people to the right appointment and knowing the right things to say at the right time, what would be different in your world if every month, because you'd spent time building a pipeline, if every month you woke up on May 1st, let's say, and you've got a pipeline full of people, that you've got 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 people that you'd been nurturing and following up with, and that they were ready to go, ready to meet, glad to meet, because you're a trusted advisor who's been helping them throughout this whole time. And here's where the action comes in. Can you commit to learning how to build a pipeline, how to follow up? It doesn't happen naturally. It doesn't happen just on its own. You have to commit and really roll up your sleeves and learn how to do that. That's number 2. Okay. Here's key number 3. Key number 3 is that we have to stop giving presentations and start leading consultations. If we're going to take more clients, then when we get to an appointment finally, when we get face to face with a potential buyer, with a potential seller, I'm going to suggest to you that we need to stop giving presentations and start giving consultations. And here's the thing, it's not just a matter of semantics. It's a completely different philosophy and a completely different approach. The truth is, most agents aren't great at going on appointments. We walk up the front door, we get there, and we don't feel confident. There's this internal resistance because we feel like, man, I feel like we're auditioning, like we're interviewing for a job. And oftentimes everything we've been taught and everything we've tried, it just doesn't feel right. We're so afraid. We don't want to be that guy or that girl. We don't want to be aggressive and pushy. In fact, I remember when I first got my real estate license, before I had ever taken a client, even before I joined Keller Williams, I had been on YouTube and looking and trying to figure out how am I going to do this. And I hired a sales coach. And the very first thing I did is I memorized a canned, scripted, memorized listing presentation because I wanted to be confident. And man, when I say I memorized it, I spent a ton of time practicing over and over and over again. And y'all, I got real good at it, really good at it. It was the presentation was logical. It flowed. It was good. It was proven. Other people had used it. And so I was so excited. I remember going to my first listing presentation, expecting to just kind of sit down, smile at them, and then just wow them with this incredible presentation. Because who could say no after such a presentation? And I started to give it, and things were going. And I remember just watching their eyes glaze over a little bit. And within 3 minutes of the presentation starting, something happened that I hadn't anticipated. I'd memorized this complete script of a listing presentation, but nobody had given the sellers a copy of the script. And so they went completely off. They went in a whole other direction. And I sat there like a deer in the headlights, no idea what to do. Because I knew my next line, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to lead them through. I just knew how to say the lines. And the truth is, when it comes to appointments with clients, whether it's a listing presentation, a buyer's consultation, most agents are doing one of a couple of things. Number one, some of us are winging it, right? We've got some natural charismatic skills. We're good. I mean, what agent doesn't say, I'm good with people, right? And so a lot of us, we go in there and we've got our knowledge and we just kind of have a conversation. We talk, we wing it. And in Keller Williams, we call that being entrepreneurial, right? Doing what comes naturally, leaning on our natural abilities and gifts. And listen, for some agents, that will take you very far. But there is always a ceiling. There's always a ceiling. Not only that, when we're winging it, we're never fully confident. We really aren't. And deep inside, it becomes exhausting because every time is different. Every time we sit down, we're making it up as we go. And improvising all the time really does get to be exhausting. And it leads us to a ceiling. Other agents, they're not winging it. They're taking, and you hear this in the language we talk about it. We talk about a listing presentation or a buyer's presentation. And usually what people mean is either some kind of a printed document or a slide deck, slides that we got. And whether you got them from our brokerage, whether we bought them on Etsy, we got them somewhere else, it is a document or a slide presentation that we're taught then, and we walk people through that presentation that way. We sit down and we say, thanks so much for having me. And we start telling them about us and our services. Here's what I do, and here's how I market your house, and here's the process. And I call it the show up and throw up method. We show up and we just start presenting at them, talking to them. And very oftentimes it's awkward and it's kind of boring. I mean, who wants to watch a PowerPoint presentation at their kitchen table with 3 people there, right? If it's a booklet and all we do is sit down and talk them through what's already in the booklet, like that's the definition of this meeting could have been an email, right? They can read on their own. And so some agents wing it. Some agents are just kind of going through whatever presentation that they've got somewhere. And then some agents do what I did. They memorize a script. And there's a lot of listing presentation scripts and buyer presentation scripts that you can find. Some of them have been around for decades. A lot of them originated from the same source, and they've kind of grown from there. But here's the thing. Most of them sound very, very similar to each other. And almost all of them, when you read them, the way you're taught to talk to people, they feel aggressive. They feel pushy. They feel you find yourself saying things like, do the right thing and sign the contract. We learn things like embedded commands. We learn things like memorizing rebuttals. If they say this, then you just fire off this response and magically that makes it better. And when you memorize everything, listen, the truth is most of us, we don't want to be sold that way ourselves. So why would our potential clients enjoy that? And it's not easy. It takes a lot of skill to be able to do that and to remember the words and to remember the right things. And the truth is, no matter how good the scripted presentation is, your client will never stay on script. And what do we do then? Okay. The other thing that I've noticed is most every single presentation, whether it's the printed ones, the slide decks, or even the scripted memorized things, they all talk primarily about the house. Whether it's the house we're trying to sell or the house we're trying to buy. And that seems like, well, of course, that's what we talk about, right? We're in real estate. Here's what I'm here to tell you. A real estate transaction is never actually about the house. The reason somebody is buying a house or selling a house is not about the house itself. The house is a means to an end. Their motivation is way deeper than that. We've got to figure out what that is. And I work through with agents that I work with something called the core motivation filter. It's a way to figure out, how do we ask questions to find out what's actually happening here? Why are they buying a bigger house? Why are they buying a smaller house? Why do they need to sell this house? Because when we get into this, it's not about the house itself. It's about the result. What is it they're trying to achieve in their life? What does buying the house do for them? That's what we sell. We don't sell the process. We sell the result that they're looking for. And so to do that well, without winging it, without memorizing a script, without walking through a presentation pitch, you've got to have a sales system. And the way I talk about it, and I teach agents, is that we're installing a sales system. It's like an operating system. Okay. Now I'm going to age myself. I don't know what the age of most of the people in this group are. When I was a kid, my dad was a computer programmer, and I learned old school MS-DOS was where I started. Right. And there was no mouse. There was no graphics. It was a green screen computer. And we had to have exactly the right command, and you had to remember the language. And if you put in the right command, then the computer did the right thing. That's a lot what our script memorization is look like. If I say the right thing, then maybe I'll get the result that I want. Installing a sales system like an operating system is about knowing how things work and knowing how to lead them and guide a conversation the way we want it to, and yet being able to weave and flow and go where we need to. So it's not about, are they saying the right thing? Did I say the right thing? It's about knowing the steps. How do we lead them through that process in a way that not only isn't dependent on me memorizing scripts? And for me, I always feel like I have flashbacks to middle school drama class when I forgot my lines in the school play. I don't want to feel that way in front of a client. But a sales system, it's not just that you're not memorizing it, it's that you own it. You know it inside and out. It leads you. And when you do this well, it's not aggressive. It's not pushy. In fact, what I find, and the agents that I work with find, is that when you do this well, very often the clients, they gladly sign the agreement. In fact, it's often their idea that they will literally say, hey, based on this conversation, I mean, you said there was some paperwork we needed to sign. What do we need to do to get started? Instead of me having to lean on the pen and tell them, do the right thing, instead of me having to come at them with 5 different kinds of closes and 18 different objection handlers, what if instead of being a pushy salesperson, we could function as a consultant, as a real estate advisor with our clients? That's the goal when we can do that. And I'm curious if you find yourself into one of those categories that we talked about, that when you sit down with a potential client, you're winging it, you find yourself going through whatever presentation that you've been given that you just present to them, or you've got some kind of a memorized presentation that you've gotten from somewhere. What do you think it might be costing you? Not only, yes, what is it costing you in terms of the opportunities that you might have lost? But also, I'm curious, what does it cost you in terms of your stress level, your mental health, your emotional health, your discomfort, your feeling unnatural, trying to make yourself and be good at doing something that really you don't feel right about, if that's been the approach that you're taking? And I want to ask, again, when it comes to taking action, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to learning to do it a different way? Because there is different ways to do this. There are better ways that you can do this. How committed are you to learning not just the right words to say, but to learn an actual system of leading and guiding naturally a conversation and moving from presenting to consulting? And so we've said 3 things so far here. We've said, number 1, that we've got to learn to stop chasing leads and start attracting them. That changes the whole way we approach lead generation. That we are just sorting people. Are they leads or are they not? And we start to have conversations that aren't about us, it's about them. We said that we've got to stop being just following up and actually being intentional about starting to build a pipeline that leads to appointments, because that's the end game for us. Everything starts with a face-to-face appointment. And so we learn to say the right things at the right time, the right frequency to the right people, so that they don't view us as somebody who's trying to pitch or sell them anything. They view us as a trusted advisor throughout all of this. And when we sit down for them, we stop giving them presentations. We stop pitching ourselves. We ditch the pitch and we start hosting consultations where the conversation is about their needs, their goals, their wants, and if and how our services can help you get there. And so in just a few minutes, I'll wrap up and answer some questions for you guys here. But I'm curious for you, as you hear this, is this something that you even want to go after changing in your business? Maybe you don't need to. Maybe things are going fine. But my guess is some of you, things that I'm saying are resonating with you, and you found yourself facing those same things. Is it important enough to take action on what we've talked about? So as we kind of wrap up here, I'm going to ask for your trust for just a minute here. And what I'm going to ask you to do, and I know we're on Zoom, some of you don't even have your cameras on, that's fine. If you're not driving a car right now, what I want you to do is I want you to just close your eyes for a second. And I'm going to ask you to just visualize something, to think through. We're going to visualize out into the future a little bit. So close your eyes and let's take a deep breath. I want you to project out into the future 3 weeks from now, just a couple of weeks. And 3 weeks from now, you have made a complete shift into how you're bringing leads into your business. And all of a sudden, it's something that you're proud of and that you're excited about. And you're excited about the possibilities. And because of these shifts that you've started to make, you're more hopeful than you've been in a long time. And you're feeling confident in the steps that you're making because you're moving towards the potential that you always knew you had. And you're moving towards the business and the life that you wanted. What does that feel like for you? How does that feel in your body? Now I want you to go a little further out. Go 6 months out into the future. 6 months from now. And in 6 months, you've done the work. You've put this into action. You've installed a sales system like we've talked about, and it's changed how you meet and attract and sign potential clients. You feel good about lead generation. It's not a grind anymore. You feel good about going on appointments with buyers and sellers, and you feel confident. You feel more confident than you felt in a long time, not just in your ability to sign clients, but you feel more confident in the future of your business than you have in quite a while. Because now that you've done this, it's not a question of where am I going to find my next client? It's a question of out of all these appointments that I'm going to go on, which are the clients that I actually want to choose to work with? And when that happens, there's this sense of certainty from leaning on a system that actually works. And here's what I want you to do now. Go 1 year from now, way out into May 2025, 12 months from now. And you've built a profitable, lucrative business, the business that you've always wanted. When you got your license, this is the business that you dreamed about. And you've got more revenue, you've got more clients than you've ever had before. But more than that, you've got this deep sense of confidence in yourself. You've got this deep sense of meaning and fulfillment because you're in alignment with what you always wanted to do, because you know you're helping more people and you're doing it in a way that's in alignment with who you are. And as you out there 12 months, as you look back at this moment right now on All Hands Call, and you reflect back that it was this moment that you made that decision, that you made the decision to stop letting your fears get in the way and to start going after the potential that was on your life. Here's my question for you. Who is that person as you look out into the future that you've created? As you think about that future, who is that person? And what are the decisions that that version of you made to create that future? What are the choices that you made? Were they decisions based on fear? Or were they decisions that are based on courage and on optimism in a focused future towards what you really wanted? And if you want to make that decision today and to be that person and to step into that future, I would love to work with you to do that. I'd love to help you to do this and to master everything that we're talking about today that can change your business and change your future. And so if you don't have your eyes open, you can open them one more time. All right. And I'm going to answer your questions in just a second here. But if you resonate with us, and if you resonate with the philosophy behind what I'm talking about, and you want to learn how to install this kind of a system in your business, in your life, in a way that feels comfortable and easy and fast, let me tell you what your next steps would look like. What I'd love to do is I'd love to invite you to be a part of the coaching program I do that's all about what we talked about today. It's called Agent Triumph Accelerator. And this, I've got a special offer just for you guys because I'm a Keller Williams agent. I used to say I bleed KW red, and then I realized everybody bleeds red. So I live and breathe Keller Williams and always will. And so for you guys, I've got an offer that I'd love to give to you. But essentially, here's what this is that we work through those three areas about how do we attract a steady flow of leads, how do we schedule and go on more appointments, and then how do we sign more clients. We're going to install this sales system. And so here's what it looks like. There's a full online system, a sales system course where you're going to learn the skills, the strategies, everything that we talked about today. You're going to get the resources, you're going to get the frameworks on how do you do that. Okay. But it's not just about learning it here. We want to make sure that you're actually mastering it, that you're installing it in your life. And so we do a weekly coaching call to work through, okay, what are your questions? What does this look like in your world? What does this look like in Bergen County, New Jersey with this client? How do we do that? Okay, so we do weekly coaching calls to get better. We also do every 2 weeks, we do a role play call, because the only way we get better at having these conversations is by practicing them. And so we want to practice together in a safe space, not out there with our clients. So we practice every couple of weeks. We get together and we practice so that you're getting good and you're getting confident and you're able to actually do this. And then we've got a VIP implementation community that's just for the people who are a part of the program, where you meet with other agents who are learning the same philosophy that, I'll be honest, it is very different than anything else that's out there in the real estate world. And so when you share that same philosophy, you want to have people around you to help you do that. And y'all, I've got to tell you, my heart, my soul is behind this. It's in this program. This is 24 years of my life, and this is what I do. And so for you guys at the all hands meeting today, I'm offering this to you guys for about 30% less than anybody else can get it, just because you're Keller Williams agents. And for the first 20 people who decided, yeah, this is something I want to do, it's generally a 6-month program. For you guys, I'll give you an extra 3 months at no additional cost. I'll give you 9 months for that. Listen, if it resonates with you and you want to know more, here's what the next step is. There's a link right there. And in fact, I'm going to drop it here in the chat as well. What that's going to take you to is not some fancy sales page with all the bells and whistles or anything like that. It's going to take you to a simple Google document, and it'll outline, here's what this looks like, here's what it is. And if you look at it and you feel like you might be a good fit for it, then great. If you look at it and you decide, nah, that's not for me, then that's okay too. I'm not here to pressure you into it. I'll tell you, there's a small financial investment to be part of it, but if you close even one house, just one, as a result of what you learned, you'll more than double your investment back. And can I coach you for a minute? I don't want you thinking about doubling an investment, because what it has the ability to do, I want you to be thinking 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the investment. So if you resonate, there's the link. Would love to have you guys check it out. And in there's my email address on that link. You can reach out to me if you got questions. I want to be respectful of your time. It is 1:57 on my clock. I'd love to, and again, I'll stay as long as y'all want to. Colleen, is it okay if I answer a couple of questions if they want to stay? Yeah? Okay. Colleen said.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you have a question, and by the way, thanks for holding out till the end. My ADHD will kick in and I'll get distracted real easily if we start going down rabbit holes. So I want to make sure to give you the stuff, and then we can chat about it now. If you have a question, like, you can either just unmute and start talking to me, or you can drop it in the comments, or you can, I think there's like a hand raising feature you can do. Any questions about anything we've talked about today, or anything we didn't talk about that you want to know?
Quiet crowd.
Man, it makes me feel so good that agents in other market centers do this too, that it's not just when It's not just my market center that when you say any questions, they all just kind of look at you. I'm as the guy who talked today, I'm going to take that as that means that I was very thorough in explaining things. So I'll take that. Let me just say, if you do have other questions, when you go to that link, my email address, you can email me. I'm glad to answer any questions you've got if you want to do it offline. If you want to connect on social media, I'm glad to connect and just chat with you about what we talked about today. If you want to dive into it a little bit more, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. Would love to serve and help you however I can. My heart is in changing our industry, y'all, and changing the way we sell ourselves and the way we do this so that we can hold our heads high, stand tall, and feel good about the work that we do with our clients. So,
Well, you're getting a lot of thank yous and wows. So
oh,
thank you
look
so
at that.
much.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for
I'm so
sharing your
glad.
testimony. Really appreciate it.
Hey,
It
I
was
appreciate
amazing.
the
Thank
opportunity,
you for
y'all.
that. And that alone, we learn a lot.
Mhm. That's great.
All right.
All right. Everybody have a good weekend.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank y'all so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.